What's up, everybody? We're back for a versus video this time. So kind of talked about it a little bit in my previous video, but my company that I work for had done a kind of a soft rollout with EV vehicles, and they had ordered 20 of them, and I happened to be able to get on board with it. I was number 17, so ended up getting a Chevy Silverado EV, and I've had it since about the 1st of May, and put on 4,079 miles so far. And it's, figure I could do a little comparative video right now. So kind of breaking it down, in fairness, I've had my Ford Lightnings for the first one we got in November of 2023, second one we got in January of 2024. So definitely a little bit longer of a history with those, but kind of getting the feel here in this Silverado. I think I could kind of break down all of the stuff. First, I guess going with comfort. Now, comfort I know is suggestive. A lot of people favor different things, but I would say Ford, in my opinion, by a long shot, has a lot more comfort. I've taken both vehicles on longer drives, and Chevy has a little bit of work to do as far as the comfort and the seating, but I mean, it's still a nice truck. But comfort, I'll go with Ford. The Lightnings, if you've never sat in one yet, it's almost like you're sitting in a comfortable recliner. You could literally tip the thing back and take a nap if you want to. They are extremely comfortable. Other category, off-road. I'm going to give the edge to Ford on that one also. And it's not to say the Chevys cannot do off-road. I've done plenty of off-road with this truck, taking it through mountains and hills. I mean, you name it. Now, this thing, I've put it through the test. And what I have noticed is the height or the lift of each vehicle. The Ford, when I take that thing off-roading, I mean, it just zooms. I don't have to worry about things in my way, the bumps in the path, the divots, you name it. It goes through it all, no problem at all. The Chevy, any slight bump, you literally are tapping the, the guard underneath the truck that's protecting the battery. It's very low, rocks, pebbles, bumps. You definitely hit the bottom of that shield. And the comfort with off-road, I would say the suspension and whatnot, Ford's definitely better in that aspect also. It rides very comfortable. It's actually a fun vehicle to drive off-road. The Chevy, not quite so much. Again, a lot of it has to do with how it's leveled to the ground and the amount of clearance you have. You can't really deny one over the other there. I'd say Ford takes the win. Drivability, I'd say both of them have their huge benefits. The Chevy is much heavier, of course, because it has, pretty much double the size battery than my Ford, but you definitely feel the weight on the ground. It's tough to explain if you haven't driven both. The Ford, again, it's heavier than most gas or diesel vehicles for sure, but they do a good job on hiding that and kind of mitigating the ability to have that comfort of driving. You kind of goes through. It's fun, it's fast, so it's kind of hard to miss. Now, on the other aspect, the heavy Chevy trucks, they're comfortable, I guess, on the freeway. Like I had said about the interior comfort, it's a little bit different, but on the freeway, when you're driving, it kind of gives the feel of that old school Cadillac, just that. You can feel it gripping the ground, and it's really doing a good job as far as that goes. Suspension wise, of course, on the freeway, you don't feel a lot of the bumps and whatnot that you would feel on the dirt when you're off-roading, but it's heavy. It's a beast. Weight, I've already gone over the weight. As heavy as the Ford is, the Chevys definitely take the cake with the weight. I'll show you the screen here with the different weights that are advertised, if I can pull it up here on the screen. But basically you're looking at about 9,990 pounds, whatever GVWR is, but I'm guessing that's, you know, the weight with everything installed. Could be wrong. Somebody can correct me on that, which is fine. I'm always open to learn something new. But again, it's heavy. Range, that's where the Chevy excels. And as I'd already mentioned, I think in a couple of my videos, so I do have the standard range battery in my Ford Lightnings, and even with the standard range, the advertised 240 miles, you don't really get that. If you go anything over, if you're going anywhere over 65, 75, or 70 miles an hour, you're going to lose range there. When you take hills, you'll see a good significant drop in your range. When I take trips, so we go from the high desert California over to Las Vegas, and luckily Baker has a huge hub for charging, so I'll go ahead and recharge in Baker on each trip. But right after Baker, you hit Mountain Pass. Mountain Pass is about 40 straight miles of a gradual uphill. So even if I recharge my truck up to 80%, by the time you hit the top of that hill, you're at about 55%. So it's definitely not a strength with Fords as far as range. The Chevy Silverado, this thing, I really don't know what the actual range is, but my experience, I'm getting about 450 miles of range, and when I take it on the freeway, I'm keeping up with the vehicles, and 75, 80 miles an hour. I'm not losing any range there. When I do go off-road, which my job kind of requires, so it's not like I'm trying to beat up the truck, but some of the testing and whatnot that I do, you're literally almost creating your own path with your off-roading. And even doing all of that on the freeways to and from the hotel, this thing doesn't skip a beat. It's literally, you're not losing any range at all. In fact, one of the days I had took the 15 up to the 40, headed towards Needles, California, which is basically the border of Arizona. Drove through the mountains, did my test, all off-road, so about 30 miles altogether in off-road to get up into the mountains to perform my testing. Drove all the way back, got back on the freeway, got all the way into Barstow. I could have easily made it back home, but I figured, I'll just go ahead and charge. By that point, I had driven 397 miles in a day. Didn't charge anywhere in between, and when I pulled up to the charge station, I still had 25% battery life remaining with over 100 miles left. And that to me is incredible. My Ford, as much as I love the thing, I would have been stuck in the dirt somewhere. So I don't know what Chevy did. It could just be the size of the battery, but Chevy did something really well with the batteries. You're not losing any range. When this thing says you have, say, 400 miles, or if I charge to 90%, I'm usually about 385. But I guess you could do the math on that and it would tell me how many miles I have on this truck, but it doesn't lose anything no matter your driving conditions. So that is really impressive. That's probably my favorite thing about Chevy. Features and apps. I would say the apps, and again, I'm a little more familiar with Ford, but I've dove through the Chevy app enough to give a good comparison. I would say there's no comparison there. If you have both vehicles, both apps, Ford is so user friendly, and you can literally do anything you want from your app. If you want to set a what do you call it, preconditioning. So before a long drive, if I want to set a preconditioning mode, I can do it from the app. I want to adjust the charge from 80% to 90% because I have a longer trip to take. You can easily do it from the app. Chevy, I think you can do it through the app. It's just you're kind of finagling through the thing. I think they're still trying to find a way to navigate over to EVs as far as their app goes. And, you know, it's not very user friendly, and it's very slow compared to the Ford app. It takes forever to update even when you're charging. I have noticed charging my vehicle, both vehicles, again, Ford has the smaller battery, so it obviously charges a little faster. Chevy does advertise, I believe it can take up to, you guys can correct me again, I think it can take up to 250 kilowatts during a charge. Could be more, but the problem is that people don't mention is depending on the temperature outside, that can affect your charge speed no matter your charge station. So even if you pull up to one that's offering 350 kilowatts, you're never going to see that because the temperatures change outside. So typically you're looking at about 200, 150 kilowatts, depending on the station, but that's probably the best average I can give. My Fords, I think I don't know what the advertised is, but I've seen as fast as 150 kilowatt, 155 kilowatts when I'm doing the charge. And the Ford overall definitely charges faster. Price between the two while you're charging, well, again, Chevy's got a bigger battery, so it's going to be more expensive to charge that battery. But on the flip side, you don't have to charge as often either, so give or take. But speed, again, Ford definitely much faster. Charge times, already explained that. Storage space, even though the Chevy, when you're looking at the back of the Chevy and the design, especially from the top heading into the back of where the truck bed is, the way the design looks, it looks like they have an extremely short truck bed. That's not the case. In fact, the truck bed on the Chevy Silverado is 4 inches longer than what I have on my Ford Lightning. And there's plenty of space there. I have space for my tools back there, no problem at all. Underneath the back seats, and this is the Chevy work truck, there's these huge bins where you can put a lot of tools there. And then, of course, you have your frunk, which is your trunk, but on the front where an engine would normally go for those who don't drive EVs. The frunk space is definitely not as large as the Ford Lightning. And then for those that do, I don't know how many people really take advantage of it, but the Ford Lightning, the kind of benefit with that frunk also is if you lift the front lid inside that frunk, there's actually a cooler there with a drain. So you could literally put a bucket of ice in there, some drinks, and keep everything cold while you're driving to your destination. And any excess water is going to drain out at the bottom of your truck, basically. So that's really cool. Chevy doesn't have that. As far as outlets and stuff, it's all pretty much the same. I really couldn't tell you if one has more than the other as far as plug-in outlets, but I think any electric vehicle is going to have that same feature. So at the end, what would be my overall pick? If I was only looking for range, all right, not sure what happened. So got to my overall pick and boom, my video shut off and didn't even catch that. So anyway, back to it. Overall pick. Now, if I was looking for range, man, Chevy Silverado has it by a long shot. However, all other aspects, I think Ford does a great job. I'm happy with the comfort. I'm happy with the drive. I'm happy with the off-road. Happy with everything. The range for my style of driving, again, the longest distance we really go is from the high desert all the way to Las Vegas, so it's roughly 200 miles, and then there's a good charge station in between. So that's why the standard range, I chose that over the, what was it, adding it up to 320 miles of range if I would have got the more expensive Ford at the time. So I would choose Ford, just based off of every other aspect besides the range. Now, if Ford's listening, if they were to develop a Lightning that would give you 400 miles of range or more, this would be the ultimate vehicle. This vehicle, I think Ford Lightning, there's something about the Ford Lightning that is just special. It drives more comfortable. I've been in Teslas now. I've been in the Silverados. Hold on. I've been in Silverados now, and every EV vehicle I've ever been in does not even compare to the Ford Lightning. The Ford Lightning, to me, as I had mentioned previously, it gives me that same excited feel that when you feel when you first are driving your brand new vehicle off the lot, when you want to drive around, show your friends, your family, drive it out of state, drive it across town, you name it. You're just looking for an excuse to drive your fun vehicle. And the Ford Lightning still gives me that piece of fun after a year and a half. I absolutely love these trucks. They give me that same feel every time. It's exciting to be in these trucks. So that would be my choice. I don't know what everybody else's choice would be. Feel free to comment. But as far as I'm concerned, aside from the range, the Ford Lightning is the best overall EV truck. I have not been in a Rivian yet, so can't really compare that. To me, the outside of them, especially the front, looks like it just doesn't appeal to me at all. So that's my take. So again, hope you guys have a great day, and I look forward to reading the comments. Take care.